And we are live. Welcome to the Beefy Boys, episode 120. Had to,
Or 420, let's
yeah.
go.
Dominic's
But
adding
yeah,
three to it for us.
well, who knows what the fuck card it was because the main event got pulled, bro. And it didn't get pulled till like after the prelims were over, right? Or was that at the end of the
Yeah, no, we
prelims?
started the main card talking about the main event, and then not 7 minutes after the whole deep dive, like what it means to the division, like the fighter previews. Then they go, we're going to make it leave you with some unfortunate breaking news about that main event that they literally
I I,
just
al-
previewed.
I literally already know. Like as soon as they
Oh,
were
as soon as they hit
like,
me with that, I was like, oh, fuck, man, why? And I guess
yeah,
Krylov got sick, so that fucking sucks.
yeah, and it's like it sucks so bad. You know that it's like neither guy's fault because like neither guy would like go through a training camp. In Krylov's case, what he came all the way from Ukraine or Russia or some shit,
Well, what
and
he
it's
would
like,
like to call Russia, but is Ukraine.
so was he fucking from the fucking Donbas? This guy from the
Yeah,
fucking Donbas,
he's from Donetsk, Luhansk, Ukraine, and he's on.
Oblast.
Yeah, and he like literally stripped himself of his Ukrainian flag and said that he supports
I
Russia's
know.
effort.
It's so tough to root for that guy. I
What a
mean,
bad
yeah,
guy!
definitely a bad guy. Definitely painted by American propaganda, but like, hey, it is what it is. Like, I
Hey,
mean, he
like
obviously has a he
my
understands the geopolitics better than I do. I'd be an asshole if I said otherwise, but still, fuck that dude.
my whole thing is his parents, by his own admission, were Russian citizens that were then called Ukrainian, and he was born Ukrainian but raised under Russian custom with respect to Russian like legitimacy. So like I don't know. I understand why he feels the way he feels. Indoctrination's a thing too.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is tough. It's one of those, from my understanding, like the eastern part of of Ukraine is very much like they speak Russian. They like have Russian like culture. They eat Russian food. They have Russian religion. Like you know what
Russian
I mean? It's like
holidays. They're
yeah.
Eastern Orthodox.
So it'd be like somebody in El Paso like they're going to feel kind of a loyalty to Mexico just as much as they do the United States. You know what I mean? Or maybe more
Yeah,
so in
I
some
mean,
cases.
imagine that we annexed like the northeastern corner, or I guess the what would be the southeastern corner of Canada, and like took Toronto, and then all of a sudden those were U.S. citizens, but we told them they couldn't celebrate any of their Canadian holidays. Like those people wouldn't be cool with that.
Yeah, and if there was a war, they may side with the Canadians. Like it's yeah, you have to kind of like put yourself in their shoes. I mean, granted, like it's real easy to just to be like, fuck that shit, and like, like I feel that way to a certain extent. Like I still disagree with it, but I'm just saying, like, I never want to be one of those people that like doesn't acknowledge both sides.
The
Like then you're
only
just full.
the only real political tip I would get on with it is this: is that the United States does not need to support either side, and we just need to let them like figure it out, and not either side get too crazy about it.
Oh no, man, keep just mowing down human waves of orcs. You know what I'm saying? But
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 bro, that's every Russian war effort of ever, and eventually the Russians usually come out on top. They lose as far as casualties, but their side almost always wins.
yeah, they have like a different scoring metric than
Yeah,
us
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
like lives are not. They don't measure it in bodies. That's not how they measure winning wars, which is how everyone else measures it. So when you think you're winning,
Yeah,
you're just starting to lose.
yeah, no, I think there's something to be said about that for sure. But yeah, man, we'll get into yeah. Obviously, that whole topic got brought up by Krylov was the one that had to pull out of the fight, very ill. Was going to be taken on Ryan Spann. Apparently I'm the only guy on planet Earth that was like looking forward to this fight. This card sucks. This main event sucks.
I love the main event. The rest of the card looked a little thorny to get through.
I feel you. I feel you. But yeah, man, I was stoked with this main event. I mean, I was definitely torn for Spann. Like
Me
politics
too.
aside, like Spann's just starting to like peak. Like this win would have like got Spann into a conversation that he's not currently in. You know what I'm saying? Like he's fighting an Ankalaev
His
or
last performance looked great. He admitted that was his first time he actually put a full camp into a fight, and he
and he
looked
said
that
that he
good.
kept the train rolling and he was still on that same tip. And we were just about to see probably the best version of Ryan Spann in theory. You know, and it sounds real nice to say that, but then but also Krylov very capable. Like I honestly probably wouldn't have bet that main event, or if I did, it would have been by purely on money line. Like it, either guy could have definitely won for sure, 1,000%. But
what were the final odds here on this main event? Just to bring that up, canceled main
I
event.
believe I believe it was minus 170 Krylov plus 140 Spann,
Yeah, plus
which
140, plus 145, minus 170.
I definitely probably would have bet the Spann plus 145. Mainly, I'm more of a Spann fan, and I like the plus money. But if Krylov won, I mean, are you going to be shocked? Like hell no.
No, yeah. I mean, you're fully right. You're fully right about that. I like the span plus money. I think that's a very like minus 105, minus 115 type of fight. So I'll take the underdog in that, just based on money.
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, man, jerking the curtain here. We got two Canadian on Canadian violence. We got Mike Malott. I'm not sure how you say that. Minus
Malott,
215 favorite.
Malott.
Malott. That's a very Canadian way to pronounce that. Taking on Johan Linus. That's probably pronounced some kind of bullshit Canadian way too, but that's how we're going to say it here on the Beefy Boys Breakdown. Plus 185 in the welterweight division. Also, Malott with the Sum 41 fat lip walkout.
Bruh.
So dope. I've been heavy on the walkout songs, but like they were crushing it.
They were
Have your
crushing.
opinions. Have your opinion on this card, but the walkout songs were crushing.
He does seem like, I did say this in break, but he does seem like a Trailer Park Boys character. Like literally could be out of Trailer Park Boys as like the like
That's what I'm saying.
the Trailer Park
And that
fighter.
song,
Like he's perfect.
that
for
song, like kind of like matched that energy. It's like
That's what
kind
I'm
of like
saying.
an awkward, like out of touch. Like, but I don't know. Went hard. I was vibing. A couple brewskis deep, and Fat Lip comes on. Let's go. But yeah, man. I mean, this fight was quick. And I thought one man outclassed the other man, and that man was Mike Malott, the better Canadian one. I mean, he was landing bombs on the feet.
He landed bombs against Mickey
Finishing.
Gall. Now that being said, that's Mickey Gall. But I mean, so Mike Malott, the people that he has fought before Johan Linus, because I like Johan Linus, before Linus had no respect for him, right?
Yeah.
Like Mickey Gall
Well,
and his Mickey Gall's okay, but then his contender
well,
series
I'm a
matchup.
dipshit that bet Mickey Gall in
Me
that
too.
fight.
Me too. I gave you bad information. Shout out to me, the dipshit that told you and led the dipshits in the army march.
But yeah, I feel you. Mickey Gall, I mean, Gall has a very salty record and is on an L streak, but also Mickey Gall's not like bad at fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but I think this is the first matchup where they gave him a guy that's like positive momentum, is not a bad fighter.
see, I don't know. I'm down on Linus. Like, that's why I'm having a hard time meeting you halfway there. I don't think Linus, I thought they gave him a can.
So you think that?
I'm
Well,
taking these
he's
hitters,
he's coming off a win against Darian Weeks, and he has a loss to Gabe Green before that. And I like Gabe Green. So
see, I think I don't like Gabe Green or Darian Weeks. I just don't like any of it. I don't like Johan Linus. I'm out on all these mid-light welterweights. I just love welterweights so much that, like,
all right. Well,
and I know a lot of welterweights.
in that case, and you might have swayed me over there. He's gotten 3 cans. So
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
so
That
like,
might be the
should
case.
I be high on Malott or should I be high on the matchmakers loving Malott?
I'll say this: he looked better against his can than Joe Selecki looked against his. Like, this is what it's supposed to look like if you are given a
That's
can.
fair.
Like, if Linus is indeed a can, which he may not be a can, but lower end guy, fair to say. And like, this is what it's supposed to look like. Because I'm honestly surprised he didn't get the knockout.
Linus wouldn't throw strikes to start the fight, like a bunch of feints, but no actual strikes thrown for like the first 2 minutes, and I was like, "This is crazy." And then Malott immediately got the takedown because he had no threat of getting punched.
He landed a couple right hands too before it went through ground.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And they were
Malott was
clean. They
touching
were
him.
landing
Malott was
clean.
touching him.
Yeah. He looked fast. He looked strong. That's what I'm saying. Like, it looked how it's supposed to look.
He was cutting off angles really well.
And then, he gets like this like clinch kind of trip style takedown. It wasn't necessarily like a wrestling takedown, but it was still very like emphatic. Like, it was explosive.
Yeah, kind of like dumped him, like swept his feet
he
and dumped
slammed him. Yeah. And then he goes straight into half guard, ended up working his way over to the arm triangle. So I mean, I think this fight only lasts 4 minutes and 15 seconds, but I think he showed a lot, right? He essentially outstruck the striker. He
Well,
got that like
he must also have a
down.
crazy tight squeeze because like as soon as he got that like fully locked in, Lioness was tapping like he was like about to pass out, like
And correct
quickly.
me if I'm wrong on that one. You're supposed to get over to side control.
Yeah,
He
he
didn't even
didn't.
get all the
He
way
didn't.
over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so yeah, you're right. Impressive squeeze. That's what I'm saying. Like plus athlete. I think it's fair to say maybe not like plus, like maybe not like freak, but like very athletic, very strong, very fast. It's like most people's definition of athletic, a little redundant there. But like, yeah, I mean, just you're right. We haven't seen him really tested, but I think this is it. I think this gets him like a real fight. Like now, I mean, what does real fight look like? Is it an older guy on the way down? Is it just a more of a stud prospect? I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with a guy like this, but fuck, man, he's on a 5-fight win streak. Now, granted, one of those was a grappling match. 4-fight win streak. 2 of those are in the UFC. He's 2-0 in the UFC. Also, I didn't know this. He has a draw in Bellator. Fought in World Series of Fighting. So in 2014. So like he's been at this a long time. Like, and he's 31. He looks like babyface, but he's 31. He's kind of in his prime. I don't know, man. He got some good experience, some good like strength of schedule. Undefeated in the UFC. Like I'm kind of nut riding a little bit. Like no, it's welterweight, so if you want to test him, there's a lot of ways you can test him.
I don't
And
know,
I'm
but
not saying he's like
hey, this might be one where the train's splitting and you're on one car and I'm on another.
I mean, I'm like medium high on it. Like I said, I'm not saying he's like Hamzat or like Shavkat, but like, does a world exist where he beats a Magny or a Chiesa?
Oh
Or
no. See, that's where we're very far apart. I don't even think he's like holding his own against him.
you're right. I mean, we really don't have a way of knowing. I'm just saying
True.
this guy could be really good, and he looked really good. Like I'm just saying, like I'm not closing the door on this guy as might be a guy. Emphasis on the might. I'll meet you there. Like you're kind of cooling me off a little bit. But I don't know, man. It was impressive. Like I said, just kind of some eye test things. Like he made it look real good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm open to giving him the opportunity to watch and see.
Okay,
I'm not going to say
fair
that he
enough.
showed me anything bad yet. You know what I mean? To be fair, like what does he show me to be down on? Really nothing. It's really a strength of schedule argument.
Kind of what I'm saying, and it's like you can. Then there's the other side. You can only fight who they,
But like,
match
how
make
many
you with.
cans are they going to feed him? Why do they love him
It's only
so
been
much?
two. It's only been two. It's only been 2 cans, and Linus is like a medium can.
His Dana White Contender Series guy was a can too because he got a sub in 29 seconds. So
what is guys? But I'm saying, what if
what's
he's
it-
a dude? Remember when Hamzat made us think Mears chart was a can?
all right, well, what's this guy's canology record?
Like, oh, his overall record, like for real? I don't know.
No, it's
Canology?
9-1-1. I know his record. His canology record's like 6-0. He's fucking like 3-1-1 against real fighters. That's a tough record.
Fair enough, bro. But we'll keep it pushing because this next fight's super relevant, super important. The return of Tatiana Suarez, -750, hasn't fought in 4 fucking years. 9-0 coming into this one, taking on Montana De La Rosa in the flyweight division. Big underdog at +550 for Montana. So this was, I mean, literally a tune-up fight. She was fighting in flyweight. She has no intention on being at flyweight. She just kind of wanted to dip her toes back in the water. What's your thoughts on that? Because there's 2 trains of thoughts there. I personally don't have a problem with it. I think they need to do it more, especially with the guys like McGregor. And I don't know. I'm open for the tune-up fight, but I come from a football background. Most football teams start their year with a tune-up game. Like, tune-up games exist in football. That's my background. So, like, I think the tune-up fight kind of makes sense. And you'll hear a lot of fighters saying that's like irresponsible matchmaking, or like you hear the other side of it. Where do you fall on that, or do you even view this fight that way?
So I thought 4-year layoff. I mean, you could argue 3.5. It's just a calendar like years, like 2019 and 2023, but really 3.5 years off. Obviously, has the neck issue. Was on a world beater streak before that.
That's very important.
Like you said, decides to come back 10 pounds up, so the weight cut's not as serious. So I think that's like less stress on her body and allows her to focus more on the technique of the camp and the fighter she's fighting, and not necessarily have to worry about. And she's not going to lose strength or grappling advantage to a girl because she's world class at grappling and she's
World
strong as hell, like dumps girls in their head. So I honestly think she's going to be the future champ. Well, I said that about strawweight. Flyweight's a little different game, and we'll get to that here at the end of the fight. But if
Yeah,
strawweight,
wins over for those that aren't unaware. I mean, wins over Grasso. Guess what? Fights for the belt next weekend. Wins over Carlos Esparza. Had the belt. All right, and then you get to Nina Nunez, and it's whatever how you want to feel about that. But I mean, has beat the best of the best.
and look good doing it. I was gonna say look good doing it. Like Carlos Esparza, if people say she's a good wrestler, she got dumped by Tatiana Suarez.
Yeah, so and it's an impressive skill set, right? When you think strawweight, you don't think wrestler.
No,
and that's what we got here. So bad match,
power bomb wrestler.
Bad matchup for literally the entire division, pretty much.
Except for Zhang Weili.
And then Montana De La Rosa, it's probably. I just don't know what you really want me to say. I mean, she is a legit flyweight, pretty salty record.
They love MDLR at the UFC headquarters, and I don't know why.
She did kind of end the Lipsky hype train. Lost to Macy Barber, who at that loss is kind of aging poorly. Lost to Aru Ujo, that one's aging good. Lost to Andrea Lee, who's ranked now. So she's one of those people. She loses the good fighters and beats bad fighters. There's wins over Ostovich. I mean, so it is what it is. Kind of a middle of the road flyweight. That's what I'm saying. Kind of a soft landing for the return of Tatiana Suarez. But
I think it's a good idea, though, man. That much time off and having a repaired neck and back, I think that's the right way to go about this. And like you had said earlier, I think more fighters should take this approach.
I don't think it's up to the fighters. I think every fighter would like to take this approach. That the UFC has shown kind of a record of just not doing it. And there's sometimes you can't. Like, there's no way they could have, like, Yuri Prohaska have a tune-up fight. Like, he's stepping right back into a championship fight. Or when
McGregor's not going to get tune-up fights.
But see, I think with McGregor, they kind of tried it once with Cerrone.
Yeah, they kind of do want McGregor to have tune-ups.
Do you consider Chandler a tune-up?
Ain't no fucking way.
I think Chandler might tune him up, what?
I mean, but at 170, we'll see.
Top 55, which Connor's never going to make it.
Where's USADA? Someone call USADA right now. That piss is melting that cup, dude.
Hamzada, he'll be like, all right, sure, book the fight at 55, shows up, weighs like 63.
Chandler's like, I want the money, fuck it.
What the fuck are you going to do about it? I mean, honestly, that's like an honest prediction.
Well, and does he headline a pay-per-view that's, obviously he headlines, but, like, do they put any belts on it? And if they do, does the defending champ?
No, it's just like the tough finale on the line. Tough, right?
And they're not going to do, like, a co-main that's, like, big dogs?
No, they'll have a co-main. They're better. Yeah, they'll have to have a fire co-main.
Well, does that mean we get a super fire main card because we don't get any title fights and we just get Conor?
Yeah,
it's a Conor card. I'm here for that.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be fun for sure. But back to old Tatiana here. Round one. It's weird, man. It's weird because she dominated this fight, but it was like just competitive enough that it wasn't like knife through butter dominate.
Yeah, so like she worked for it, but it wasn't necessarily hard.
Exactly. So it's like, how picky, how much are you going to nitpick? Because we can kind of lump it all together. I mean, she was taking her down. She was controlling her. Whether it was on the feet or on the ground, she was in control. Not a ton of like damage per se. Gets the guillotine finish. Like I said, I don't think that's what this fight was about. This fight was about how did she look, how do you judge her moving forward, and just the return in general, right? We don't need to get into X's and O's. She out-grappled Montana De La Rosa, shocker. We all knew that would happen. It didn't look as, like I said, it wasn't a knife through butter. So whether you want to say are you saying that's a good thing for Montana? Do you think it's just the upper weight class? Or do you think there's a little rust, some combination thereof?
I think it's a little of both. So hold on, I'm sorry. I gotta plug this in real fast. All right. So I think it's a little bit of both, to be quite honest with you. Because I think Tatiana Suarez is a little unaware of like her capabilities now. and like the coming back, that's a big deal. A lot of butterflies there, I think. So a little bit of a nervous start. I thought the second round went a lot better for her than the first, even though the first went really good. It's not to say it was a bad round, but
No,
I
you're right.
also, I
You're
also think
1,000%.
fighting up the weight might be a little different too. She's maybe not quite as used to the girls that size. Now, granted, Grasso, you can Esparza can fight between both, and I think has. But that being said, no, I really liked what I saw from Suarez. Now, would I have liked to have seen her be a little sharper? Yeah, I wouldn't. I think that would be fair to say. But also, that much time off, now getting back into the flow, and also announcing she's going to go back to strawweight. Um, I think she's a contender for the belts soon, man. Like I think like year and a half.
Bro, I might have a hot take that she fights for the belt next. And here's why. It's not so much what she's done, it's what the other girls aren't doing. So I'm looking at the strawweight rankings right now. Zhang Weili, fucking awesome champion, right? Carla
Fucking
Esparza,
awesome.
fucking awesome. Um, Carla Esparza, I think the MMA community as a whole is a little down on her, right? I mean, how old is Carla? She's getting a little long in the tooth.
Ooh, I know what I see
Uh,
here. There's
but
there's there's two things here, man. Andrade
but
and Suarez, or you could do Lemos and Suarez.
all right, and Josh coming off a lot. I don't hate those. Yeah, Lemos Suarez makes a lot of sense because. But you notice how we both skipped Rose because like what the fuck is going on with Rose?
Man,
It's so annoying. You
yeah,
kind of can't even factor it in.
I don't want to
She's
deal with her head case ass, honestly.
she's almost in like John Jones, Conor McGregor territory, but like the negative connotation of those two terms, like the when are they coming back? This like mythical return type status.
Speaking of
Um,
which, one of those will happen. Both are going to happen this year, which is great.
yeah, yes, maybe Rose will too. Maybe Rose will too.
Wow,
And
if
if
we
she
got the
does,
three-headed goat, that'd be wild.
I mean, because like Rose Tatiana makes a lot of fucking sense, like a lot of sense.
I think Rose gets
But
sparked in that fight.
cool, maybe that's what you need if you're at the UFC. You know what I'm saying with how she's acting.
See, I think
Um,
I think Andrade and Zhang Weili are very competitive matchups for Suarez in the sense that she could lose both those. I think she beats Esparza. I think she beats Lemos. I think she beats Rose.
I know, but they may want her to clean out an Esparza or a Rose, right? Because they've been the ones kind of being the thorn in the side of the division.
The Rose would be a savage matchup.
I mean, and how far it would be. I mean, that could be like a co-main
Yeah,
or
right.
feature bench,
No,
like on
yeah,
a pay-per-view.
I
Like
agree.
that's a sick. Like I think that works all day. And then Carlos Esparza, like I said, that works to a lesser extent. Like that's essentially a number one contenders fight. Um, I think the UFC doesn't like having Carlos Esparza at one is a little problematic. Like the fans don't really fuck with it. I don't think she can really like that's not who you really want to be your champion. I think that's fair to say. So it's a little problematic having Carla at one and Rose at two because Rose doesn't fight hardly ever, and Carla's a little, in the doghouse, I think, amongst most perception. And then so you got Lemos there at three. And Lemos Suarez, like I said, that would be fucking awesome because Lemos could test that chin, which was not tested
Right.
by Montana De La Rosa. Lemos could, I mean, spark the lights.
Well, the real question for any girl that fights Suarez is, can you stay on your feet? If she's almost like people call her Thabib. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying, Tatiana and Habib put together. Obviously, for anyone at home that couldn't follow that. She is so dominant at getting her hands on you, getting into a clinch, getting you on the cage, getting you down on the floor. It's almost unstoppable. So we're looking for who's the girl that's going to stop it, and I don't see a girl that's a striker stopping it. It's going to be a girl that has to be an explosive athlete that can strike. So Zhang
Like
Weili.
who can Volk the Suarez train.
Weili could. I mean, Blanchfield would be one of those girls. Fiora would be one of
Wei
those
Lee's the
girls.
fight. Wei Lee, I don't think anybody thinks that's not competitive. Wei Lee's the fight. But you
Andrade
got
could
to
have
give
an
him.
argument.
Not after the Blanchfield fight, she don't.
I mean, at 115 it might be a little different.
Yeah, and Suarez probably doesn't have the striking of Blanchfield. I think it's fair to
Right.
say.
The
So,
incoming damage wouldn't be there necessarily.
all right, fair enough. Let's keep it pushing on to this bullshit. What ends up being a co-main event. Augusto Sakai minus 135, and this isn't like hindsight 2020. This like I've been consistent. One of my least favorite fighters in the UFC. The only good thing now is like he's out of the rankings. And like there was a time where he was like ranked like sixth. They were trying to act like Sakai mattered, and I was just that was an annoying time to be a fan of UFC heavyweights. I'll tell you that much. Taking on Dontel Mays plus 115 dog. I mean, just an impressive physique, 6'6". But this was another one of just like bad fight IQ. It honestly reminded me of who did we say Egate himself earlier?
Jump guillotine boy, Rafael Alves.
Rafael Alves. Yeah, just as far as like Dontel Mays kept engaging in the clinch and then would get dominated and reversed in the clinch. Like just rinse and repeat for 15 fucking minutes. I mean, like round one, I wanted to give it 10-8 for a second, but just not enough happened.
Yeah, right. I agree with you. Like the dominance was there. The damage wasn't necessarily there, but the duration was there. Like he got 2 out of 3 Ds.
I'd argue that the damage was there and that the duration wasn't, because a lot of damage happened in like a 45-second window.
Yeah,
like those knees to the head were like almost fight ending, but then the rest of the round was snooze city. So it's like, how do you juxtapose that? Like, you could argue the fight was almost stopped. Like, it has a lot of the same words that you would use to describe a 10-8 round, but so much of the round, nothing was really happening. That it doesn't really just. No judge, I don't think, gave it 10-8.
I had that round 10-9. No judge did. You had it 10-9, obviously, for Sakai. Now, second round might be one of the most boring rounds I've watched in a long time.
So bad.
Literally just pressed on a fence doing nothing important. No damage. Yeah, I won't call it control. I'll call it like controlling the place where the fight takes place, but not controlling Dontel Mays necessarily.
I'll call it controlling Dontel Mays as like a knock on Dontel Mays. He was doing dog shit at like digging underhooks and really working. He was kind of accepting position, like engaging in the clinches when he would get away. I just hated everything about what Dontel Mays did. So I'll get how bad it is when I'm giving Sakai the benefit of the doubt. One of my least favorite fighters. Like I hated Dontel Mays' performance more than I hate Sakai.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I thought Dontel Mays did nothing impactful or important in the fight. Like the whole time. Like never pushed. Never tried.
No.
It was like just accepted positions in which it was essentially accepting defeat.
A nut hair above William Knight energy. Like a nut hair above.
Oh, it was close to that bad. At least he wasn't talking shit to Sakai.
Yeah, exactly. And he really wasn't getting that much damage on himself either. So 30-27 Sakai. He won every round, but like in the most turn the channel.
I said it was a snoozy dominant fight for Sakai, which you never say those two things. But like he did dominate the fight if you think about it. But also it was a snooze fest.
You're not wrong on either of those. And like we'll keep it pushing, because like I said, do I think Sakai matters? No, I don't. And
no, he's already proven. He's already exactly. He's already proven.
And then Mays, like nobody even thought he was high end before this fight. So after this fight, I mean, he's in the doghouse for sure, right?
For sure,
I mean, he's
going to be Sakai to not necessarily struggle, but not be able to put on like a stellar performance against a guy like Mays just ultimately cements like he's not a top 15 guy.
I mean, both of these guys are probably fighting Contender Series guys next, or some killer Brazilian, or like
Sakai will hang around that middle back end, maybe middle. You know what I'm saying? But I think Mays is fighting a DWCS killer.
Yeah, for sure. I see it the same way, and unfortunately, we were at our main event, our quasi-proxy main event. We got our Brendan Allen, which this fight was awesome. Like, I love the matchmaking. It looked awesome when we watched it. I do think one guy underperformed. We'll get to that. We got Brendan Allen plus 175, Andre Muniz minus 205. Andre Muniz ranked 11. I mean, if I saw another person say, potential future champ, like it became cliche. I've been on the Muniz train for a while. Like I like Muniz. I still do. He's a really good fighter. Brings a really good skill set. And then Brendan Allen's always been this guy that's always been the kind of like close but no cigar. Like he's always been kind of thought of highly. He always shows flashes of talent and ability. He'll get some wins. He'll have some losses. Allen's almost been like this prospect. I mean, now he's a veteran, but he's been like this like highly touted prospect. And then Muniz was kind of the opposite. He kind of snuck up on everybody. Like nobody really thought or like wanted Muniz to be like a factor, but he kind of just like forced his way into the conversation and made himself relevant through pure talent. Kind of two opposite kind of builds, right?
Brendan Allen is your typical NFL like wide receiver, let's say, that has like 3 or 4 really good games throughout the year, and the rest are just like 2 catches, 31 yards, and no impactful moments. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
like that's how he feels. You see flashes of brilliance, but he can never string it together in consistency. So
And every time the UFC like sets him up to like take that next step, he like
he fumbles
falls
the
flat.
bag. He loves to fumble the bag, and this was a fumble the bag kind of a moment.
Yeah, all signs pointed. I straight up thought Muniz was the more talented guy going into this one.
So did Vegas
and I
at
did,
2-1.
Yes, so and then this is you're right. Historically, this is where Allen shits the bed. Historically, Muniz is usually just like a silent killer, right? He just kind of does his thing against anybody.
Now that being said, Allen rocked Muniz on the feet. I thought early in the fight, like I thought that 1-2-3 he hit Muniz with, that Muniz kind of stumbled back for the fence on. It looked like it actually caught him and hurt him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no. He wobbled him for sure. You're talking about in the first round, right?
Yeah, early on.
Yeah, like, and it was also weird. So we all thought Muniz would be the better grappler, and like his path to victory was on the grappling. We all probably thought that Allen probably a bit better of an athlete, probably a little bit bigger. So to stand and bang with Allen in like a war, like banger type fight, I don't think anybody saw coming from Muniz, and that's what makes me wonder. Like, was he not there mentally? Did getting promoted to the main event fuck with him? Did he have a bad camp? Like, I know it sounds like I'm making excuses for him, but he just literally didn't look like the guy that we like know and love. Like, seriously, and I'm not trying to make excuses. Like, he's the best. I mean, 48 hours ago, everybody would have pretty much agreed that he was like the best grappler in the whole division.
Yeah,
From like a jiu-jitsu standpoint,
especially on like top grappling, which he got to that position at one point in this fight and didn't do shit with it.
So what's your thought on his like round one stand and bang kind of game plan? Like,
honestly,
what's your thoughts on that? I don't know what to do with it. Like, why did that happen?
I did say it was a competitive round, so I will say that. Why did it happen? I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I think when it happened, it pushed him to go to the jiu-jitsu takedown approach. But that obviously doesn't work either if we want to go ahead and slide. Well, how'd you score the first?
I gave it to Allen 10-9 because that moment that he wobbled him.
Right.
Everything else was like pretty close, but the biggest moment, damage, you could even argue Allen. Like, I think it was a close round. Muniz was banging.
One judge did have the Muniz this round.
He was landing clean shots, but just Allen's chin just held up better than Muniz's. Like, just visually, it didn't look the same.
Agreed. So, getting the second round, I thought Muniz looked pretty good on the feet to start the round, was able to get the takedown, got to full mount pretty much, and then immediately got swept and reversed.
Yeah, that reverse was really slick. And then Allen was able to control the whole rest of the round. And he didn't even have to expend the energy of getting his own takedown. So he looked explosive. He looked like it was crazy. He looked like the smarter grappler.
And Muniz didn't look like he had a shot to get up.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, I don't know. This is going to sound like Allen hating. I feel like Muniz, like, didn't show up, man. I feel like I don't know. Like, it's the ultimate excuse maker. Like, this is against what I usually do. And I'm not trying to, like, really dauber down Allen. And maybe I am just too much of a Muniz nut rider, but that didn't look like the guy. That didn't look like Andre Muniz.
But what's weird is it's not like he didn't, like, sometimes you see guys, like, show up and they're like a shell of themselves, right? Like, they don't show up in any facet. You can just tell they're not there. He didn't necessarily do that. Like, he was still able to strike and, like, looked, like, pretty aware. It looked like he just, like, I don't think he sharpened his grappling for this fight because I think he underestimated Brendan Allen's grappling. I'll be very honest. Like, I think he slept on the grappling and then got caught in a whirlwind.
Maybe that's what I mean. Like it definitely seemed like a neck up issue, right? Like, whether that's focus, whether that's underestimate, whether that's, whether it was discipline. Like, it definitely seemed like a neck up thing. Like I still don't know if Brendan Allen has better jiu-jitsu than Muniz, even
Well,
though like
well, because let's dive into this third round because I think there's a great point we can bring up to illustrate what we're talking about here.
yeah, I mean Allen gets the takedown and then proceeds to get the rear naked choke. I mean, if you want to add any details to that, knock
Well,
yourself out, take the floor.
the major illustration I was going to add was that Muniz once again was landing nice shots in the third round. Allen once again gets the takedown about 2 minutes left in the third round. I thought Muniz was ahead at that point. Allen proceeds to get the back within a minute and then finishes the fight within 25 more seconds from there. Like, it was a pretty impressive sequence from Allen to finish the fight. Now, all that being said, this was a fight where what my big takeaway was that, like, Muniz didn't really show up, and what Brendan Allen was able to do was so unexpected that, like, even Vegas had it, to illustrate our point, at plus 900 for Brendan Allen to win by submission. Like, nobody thought Muniz was going to get tapped by Brendan Allen.
And that's why I think some of it. So, like, obviously, it's a combination of both. Did Brendan Allen perform very, 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 very well? Of course, he did. That was awesome.
Like,
But,
Muniz by submission, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but plus 125.
no, it makes that's what we're saying. So, like, it has to be at least, I don't know what percentage, but a percentage is Muniz shit the bed and didn't show up. And, like, seriously.
At least 50.
Because the margin,
I think at least 50.
the margin isn't that wide. Like, is there a scenario? Can Brendan Allen beat Muniz? Of course he did. But I'm saying, like, in the simulation, of course he could. But, like, to just out grapple, like, every time there was a grappling sequence, Allen won, like, every one. He, like, outclassed the best, like, grappler in the division. Like, I'm saying that everybody can win, anybody can lose. And I'm really, really, really not trying to take away from Allen. It's just, the margin isn't that wide, and the margin was very wide, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fight where on paper I would think Muniz would win 13 out of 20, you know? Maybe 7 out of 10, something like that. But at the same time, yeah, man.
But also,
like when he doesn't show up, this is what happens.
I'm going to make a counter argument to my Muniz nut riding, actually. There's a chance Muniz is fugazi, because think about how these wins are aging. So, the big win that put him on the map was Jacare Souza in 2021. Jacare was definitely washed by then. I think that was maybe even post Kevin Holland knockout. So that may have been,
you're right. That is.
That might have been Jacare's last fight. I think it was. So, like, definitely washed. But at the time, I think he was still maybe ranked, if I'm not mistaken, like a 14 or something. So anyway, got a big boost off of, and he submitted Jacare. So everybody's like, oh, you submit Jacare, you're a prodigy. But Jacare was washed. Then Eric Anders. Like, all right, to have better jiu-jitsu than Eric Anders, that's not, like, saying much. Like, sorry, that doesn't age that well either. Like, that's a mismatch. And then the Uriah Hall wins. Same thing. I think he had a ranking at the time, and he was like 9 or 10. And everybody, like, gave Muniz a bunch of credit. But Hall is now retired and taking, like, YouTuber fights. So it's like he was washed. Like, there's a chance Muniz just isn't that guy. And, like, we overhyped all those wins. And, like, this is coming from a Muniz guy. I've been one of his biggest, like, supporters. Like, and Allen, on the other hand, his losses are to Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland. Those aged well. Like, a couple weeks ago, Sean Strickland was, like, 4 in the world. So, like, I think maybe it's a little bit of both. I think Muniz was a little overhyped. I think Allen was a little underhyped. And I kind of don't know what to do with either of them moving forward. We'll look at the middleweight rankings.
Well, Allen pretty much gets the ranking, right?
You have to, right? I mean, that's how I'm going to view it.
Muniz probably drops to 13 or 14, I would think.
So, if Allen's 11, Duplessis at 10, he's booked against Brunson. That'll determine a lot. Hermanson, I don't think has a matchup. Allen and Brendan Allen's call out hated it. He did like a shotgun scatter call out. We called out like 8 people, one of which was Hermanson. So you could do that. Delidze has a big fight booked. Like, I think Vittori, right?
That's huge. Yeah. No, I think you look backwards because I think he got to fight up. I think you gifted him the fight up. Now he needs to defend it against someone behind him. I think Gaslam and Imavov are very fun options. Hell, even Darren Till, if you want to try and put Darren Till back on, Because honestly, I don't think Brendan Allen, like we said, doesn't show up every time.
Allen wrestle fucks kill for sure, for sure. Um,
Him and Gastelum's a
Gastelum,
fun fight.
that's a fun fight. Gastelum just pulled out of the fight though, so it's like, do you want to bank on that? Amalbov doesn't really deserve any favors as far as fighting super up.
And I definitely
But
don't want to see him headline a UFC fight night card. Like, Brendan Allen doesn't get me going like that.
But he gets a lot of other people going that way. You see everybody stroking him off, John Anik, like
So
people
dumb.
that matter. People that matter are like all in on the Brendan Allen like hype wagon. Like Twitter's stroking Brendan Allen off. Like,
yeah, well, you know what matters?
every...
Beefy Boys matter. That's what's important, and we're not stroking him like that.
No, I'm not. I'm not. But at the same time, all right, well, I'll be real. At this point, does he like is he more fun than Nasruddin Imavov? Yeah, he is. I mean, he just surpassed Muniz. I'm not a Duplessis guy. Hermanson is like, I wouldn't be mad if they gave him Hermanson because at least we're going to get some
I'm not mad
question
at
and
that.
answer.
That's a fun matchup too because they both are kind of all over the place, sporadic, weird fighters.
Yeah, and like it's another opportunity for him to not shit the bed, right? To rise to the occasion, and like if he can do two of those back to back, like maybe those demons are behind him, kind of like a Charles Oliveira. Like maybe it's like a new chapter. But also a lot of shit's about to shake up in that division. Like I said, Vittori Dolidze, Duplessis, Brunson, like that determines a lot. And I think Whitaker Hamzat's happening too. Like, I mean, all indications are that's happening. Like all indications. And if Izzy loses the rematch to Pereira, he's one of the boys again. Like he's top 5 guy.
And then Izzy Hamzat's like sells crazy pay-per-views, but also like Izzy might get ran through in that fight.
I'm saying,
like the Hamzat style for these guys. Whitaker's one of the hardest matchups for him.
I know, and Hamzat called out everybody but Whitaker. I think that's why they gave it to him. Like,
yeah,
I think the UFC's not super stoked on Hamzat right now.
No, they're mad at him. They're mad at him. They're
that's
trying to give him a
saying.
punishment matchup, and poor fucking Whitaker has to be that guy to take on that devil.
But think about it, poor Whitaker. Like straight up, if you're giving Whitaker like plus 300, I might take it, dog. I might take it. They're gonna the number's gonna be dumb because of the Hamzat hype, which I'm a Hamzat guy too. But you give me up a weight class, you give me Whitaker plus 300. I'll take it.
Oh, Caesars has it listed right now. It must be pretty goddamn official. Whitaker minus 120, Hamzat plus 100.
So see, they're kind of with me though. Like that'll get bet. So give me the plus 100 all day. But I'm just saying.
McGregor right now at Caesars minus 115, DraftKings minus 110, even with Chandler at minus 110.
Taking the Chandler money on that. I think McGregor's going to get worked. He's a straight up alcoholic.
He's not even
a fighter.
Is he opening odds? He's the favorite right now against Pereira minus 155. I don't like that at all. Give me Pereira plus 130 all day.
Yes,
and if we're on future events, let's go ahead and dive into this huge pay-per-view coming up and give some odds here. Because there's big fights. I'll start from the bottom, which is big names. We can go quick on some of the ones that don't matter, and then the main card we'll kind of talk about a little bit. How about that?
Sounds good, brother.
All right, so Darman Blackshear, Fareed Basharat, just like to bring it up because the Basharat bro, he is minus 500.
I think Basharat's like, he was minus 400 a couple of days ago. People are like, so that's the other brother. That's the less popular Basharat. That's the younger brother, I believe. So it's not the tested and proven one. It's the younger one, but still, the Basharat bros are for real. I'm big on them.
Tabitha Ricci, Jessica Penne. Not really a fight I care about either way. It's Ricci minus 280, Penne plus 230. I'll take Ricci.
Yeah, it's like I like Ricci. Just if it was like hey, let's see if we can call the fight correctly. But as far as the betting, I don't like that number enough. Like I'm not.
Then we have Keenan Song versus Ian Gary. Ian Gary minus 600. I like Ian Gary, but not at minus 600. I'd never take him on that number.
I think that matchup kind of tells you that, like, I've been kind of down on Ian Gary, and they're trying to get that hype train back on the tracks. That's a weird matchup. They're kind of throwing him a bone here. And we're going to learn a lot. Because if Ian Gary comes out here and looks like a minus 600, okay, like, like maybe he's just a young guy still figuring it out. But if this fight's like kind of close, like he's probably not that guy.
No, yeah, I
I mean,
agree.
the fact that he's on the early prelims, you know what I'm saying? Like for a guy that was on the hype train not that long ago.
I know which side of this you're going to be on already, just based on who you like here. But you got the Power Bar, Marc Andre Barrio versus Julian Marquez, Cuban Missile Crisis.
Power bar full, baby.
Power Bar minus 150, Marquez plus 125. You still like Power Bar?
People that power bar money's coming in. It was 125.
I'll take Marquez just for the plus money. Fuck it, why not? Fun little split there. Maybe we bet that just like each of us like $3 just to say fuck it, why not?
A little competition. For
Yeah,
sure.
one of us is gonna win there. Or unless the draw, fuck me, right? Amanda Hebos minus Viviane Araujo. Now we're getting to serious fights that matter. So Amanda Hebos, Viviane Araujo minus 115 each way. That's a fight where like parlay wise, man, you can make or break your night on that kind of those kinds of odds.
I'm not putting that in a parlay. Fuck yourself. Let's see here. That's a close one to call. Let me see. Araujo lost to Grasso, who's fighting for the belt. Lost to Chikagian, but beat Andrea Lee and beat Roxanne Modafferi. Oh, that's a tough one. She's fighting Amanda Hebos, who has a loss to Chikagian as well. They're like the same fighting. That makes
Right.
sense. That
They're very similar. I think I lean
Oh,
Hebos, but
you know what? I'm gonna go Araujo, another split off pure activity. Has not been active.
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. We'll keep it pushing because, like we said, main card. We'll spend time breaking down. Cody
That's an
Garb.
interesting one though.
Yeah, very interesting fight. Like I said, Vegas coin flip. Also, for the risky motherfucker out there that'll bet MMA anyway, and also doing an MMA parlay, like it's just an idiot's bet, but we love them. That's like I said, a make or break kind of a fight. Like if you pick it right, and its centerpiece is a parlay that has like one dog that hits and some other good favorites. That's a great.
Fat returns is what you're talking.
Yeah,
Fat returns.
Yeah, huge returns on a coin flip on a parlay, because you're getting even odds, obviously. Cody Garbrandt, Trevin Jones. Garbrandt, what a fall from fucking grace, my God. Trevin Jones plus 145. Cody Garbrandt minus 170. This might be a fight where I like that plus money. This is a dude that I think is done.
This fight sucks because Trevin Jones, I literally, like, if I could tell you one fighter, I'm honestly surprised he's still on the roster. Like, a guy that I just don't like watching fight, it's Trevin Jones. And then Cody Garbrandt, like you said all the right words, fall from grace. This is probably a no bet for me because I feel you. If gun to my head and I have to bet it, I'm going to bet the Jones plus money because I'm not putting my faith in Garbrandt. But, like, I really don't respect Trevin Jones. Like, Garbrandt should win this. Like, the minus 170, like, this should be a get-right fight.
It's one of two things. It's a get right or it's a Marlon Moraes get broken and you're done fighting fight. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those two, I think. It's a big fork in the road. So we'll see. Last fight here on the prelims, Derek Brunson, Dricus Duplessis. Dricus minus 230, Brunson plus 190. I love the Brunson money.
Me too, man. Me too. I mean, I think people... And they where we're wrong is if Brunson's checked out. He's been tweeting about retirement. His last performance was very uninspired. His last performance was very uninspired. He's been flirting about talking about retirement. He is getting older. Because skill set for skill set, I think he beats Duplessis. But it's like if he's like on his Derek Lewis, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out shit, then there's definitely I understand Duplessis running through him as the young up and comer. You're right. Plus, this might be my favorite bet of the fight, though. I'm going to bet it as a straight. Brunson plus 200, but it's like there's the big X factor that there's no way to know until find out fucking next Saturday. It's like, is he on his Derek Lewis shit?
All right, now let's dive into this main card real quick. Maybe just a quick 5-10 minute run here, and then we'll wrap this up. But kicking off the main card, we got Bo Nickel, Jamie Pickett. Bo Nickel minus 1,400, Jamie Pickett plus 800. This is just a pass on betting. There's not really a breakdown here other than Bo Nickel's going to torch this guy.
No, I mean, yeah,
The debut, we get to see it. It's what we want to see. It's what we've been waiting for.
There's not a point. There's not a point.
Now, next fight, very interesting. Jalen Turner, Mateusz Gamrot. Gamrot minus 220, Jalen Turner plus 180. I figure you're on the Turner money line here.
Dude, I've been like losing sleep over this. I cannot make up my mind because
the Gamrot pressure and pace is going to be very difficult for Turner to get effective striking going.
What'd you say? What'd you say the line was?
Turner plus 180, Gamrot minus 220.
Yeah, at that number, I'll take Turner.
But would you actually include it on a parlay?
Oh no, that'd be a straight.
Okay.
I might do a couple straights, a couple dog straights, the Brunson straight, the Turner straights, Black History Month.
I might bet every fight on this card and send you $4 for every single fight and just see how it pans out. Just do the math on shit. Just straights across the board. So we'll keep it pushing though. Unless was there anything else you wanted to add?
Just that, the number is what's making me pick Turner. If it's just like a hey, let's pick the fight, I'm picking Gamrot.
Okay. Fair enough. So pushing to the featured fight here, huge fight. Jeff Neal, Shavkat Rakhmonov minus 550, Jeff Neal plus 400. I'm not going to put Rakhmonov on any bets just for that number because I think Neal is a dangerous dog here, but I also think that it's not maybe it's worth a $5 spin on Neal.
Dude, I was about to say I think it's straight Pride Month over here because the dog straights. The dog straights are.
I mean, if it was anything under plus 320, I don't want it. But at that value up, I like it.
That value with a guy like that can spark the lights. Like these guys, Shavkat's been fighting. None of them hit like Jeff Neal. We've never seen Shavkat take a Jeff Neal type of level of strike to the mouth. But you know what? I'll probably hedge. I'll probably do a Jeff Neal straight. And put Shavkat on a parlay.
Smart.
Like a real scumbag.
Smart. That's the smart scumbag move. Vegas loves us. So, co-main event here. Alexa Grasso, plus 450 against Shevchenko, minus 625. I think Shevchenko honestly kind of runs through Grasso here. I don't think this fight's that close.
I've been trying to talk myself into the Grasso. She's not the one. They got the wrong girl. It should have been Fiorot. She got hurt.
Agreed.
Blanchfield, because I think Blanchfield beats Grasso. Call me out nut rider if you want, whatever. Blanchfield all day. But it's she's just not the one to do it. You could argue Santos was the one to do it and did do it, but it ain't goddamn Grasso. I think it's the wrong style. It'd be honestly kind of fun if we were wrong, right? Because the Shevchenko kind of, I feel like it's kind of ran its course. I don't know. She's still co-main. She's defended her belt 8 times. You know what I'm saying? It's I don't know. I don't think Grasso's the one to do it, but it'd be kind of fucking sweet, like a Juliana Pena moment if she could.
Yeah, I guess. Well, let's push it to the final fight. Last fight we want to talk about here. The biggest fight, the return of John Jones. Minus 160, Cyril Gane, plus 135. I honestly would bet a house on John Jones here.
Me too, man. Honestly, I'm a cheap fuck. I just like I never liked minus favorites really, but I'm thinking maybe a Jones straight, a Jones Shavkat, or I don't know.
A Jones Brunson might not be a bad little 2-legger.
Yeah, something like that because I agree, man. I agree. Jones. Gane's last fight was against Tuivasa. He couldn't be more opposite of Tuivasa. He got out wrestled by Ngannou. Yeah, I don't know, man. The only thing is if John is on some real addict shit, Vegas gets him.
Yeah,
and
I don't think he is. He seems changed, which could be for the worse, could be for the better.
Just ring rust / age / father time. But I don't think Cyril Gane beats John Jones.
Well,
those things.
After Gane saying that he doesn't actively train training camp style for wrestling and stuff outside of his actual fight camps, made me already think oh well, your 3 months of wrestling isn't going to be close to John Jones' lifetime. So bookmark.
He may have been trolling though.
We'll see.
I got Fugaze vibes, but I feel you, bro. I can't wait for next week, brother. Tonight was fun, bro. I'll let you go, brother. If you're watching right now, we really appreciate you. Subscribe, maybe hit like on a couple of our videos. We really appreciate you. Check us out on social media. We got a Facebook page, Beefy Boys Breakdown. We got Twitter at Beefy Breakdown. And yeah, just support. We appreciate it. We love fights. You love fights. Let's talk about fights together, man.
Yes, sir. We'll see you guys next week for the biggest pay-per-view of the year so far.